Hello, good afternoon everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name's Jen, I work in the student recruitment team. So our session today is part of the Supporting Progression series, which is for teachers and careers advisors looking to support students that are hoping to progress onto higher education. So today we are joined by Sue Stockwell, who is Head of Careers and Employability, but also Interim Head of Student Futures. And we've got some members of the Student Futures team today that are going to present to us as well. So thank you very much for joining us, guys. Just some really quick housekeeping before we kick off. We're currently using Teams Live for this presentation. So that means that we can't see or hear you as attendees, but hopefully you can hear and see us. If you do have any questions throughout the presentation, please use the Q&A function, which should be in the top right hand corner of your device. If you have any questions, fire them over and we'll answer them at the end. But yeah, I'll hand over to you, Sue, now.
Thanks very much, Jade, and hello there. A warm welcome to the presentation today. You may or may not have heard about Student Futures. It's an expanding team and we're everything to do with enterprise and employability at the university. And what you should be able to see there is the different functions within the team who all really work very closely together to support our students and our graduates into the careers that they so much deserve. You'll see from the left we've got a team of careers advisors who help from year one, help students to think about their careers, take some steps to actually getting the experience that they need and work out how best to take their first steps into their chosen career. They also help them work out what they can do with their degree. We've got a relatively recent new group of people working with us, and that's working very well. The work placements team, they go into schools, encourage people to apply for year-long experiences. They work on work experience modules, and they support short internships for a lot of our master's students as well. We've also got a volunteering group, and they support students to get the experience that they need to be able to progress into graduate jobs. So thousands of hours are done in a voluntary capacity by our fabulous students who work closely with the not-for-profit organisations, usually fairly locally. And the graduate employment team do that highly targeted final year work when students are just about to graduate, and when they've recently graduated, they do that very targeted, finding bespoke job vacancies for them, making sure that those finalists or graduates are absolutely prepped before they go for a job interview, help them know how to connect with people using social media and so on. And also we've got our Teesside Launchpad, that's the enterprise team. So if a student from year one has a spark of an idea, they work with them throughout their time at university. There's some enterprise curriculum embedded, and the Launchpad is based in a building on campus, so it's a business startup function, so all interrelated. What a year it's been. I'm sure you would agree that it's been a very unusual year, one that set some challenges but has also made us really think very hard and work very quickly to adapt to the environment that we're all in now. And we've had some major successes as a result of the changes that we made to the practices that we have. There have been some challenges for some of our students, and that of course presents challenges for staff as well. At the beginning, in about July, we created a programme called Find Your Future. The idea is it's a brand that students know and relate with for employability. And we put an awful lot of effort into providing some different workshops for students online so that they could connect with the advisors either live or as a pre-recorded with a Q&A at the end. And we had over 1,500 students engaging with that. And that was a big lift in attendance at that point in the year. We've developed some great working practices with employers, and I've got a statistic at the bottom of this screen that last spring we got 10 vacancies in April and 11 in May, so things were not looking too rosy. We took stock of that and decided that it was very important that we continue to contact our employers to see what it is they wanted and to also keep them connected with student and graduate talent. So we've had things like cluster events, No Big Careers Fair this year, more bespoke events by sector or group of courses to make sure that those students are able to be meeting employers like they would on campus, and that's been successful. We've had more of those events, but smaller ones. We had an online appointment booking system, and that increased our appointments. Our students used to like to make appointments, have their camera off, so they might be in their gym jams, but they're still attending. So attendance actually improved when we went into the virtual world, so rather than having to walk over to a building. We've also introduced the concept of talent pools, so students who are approaching the end of their programme in their final year and graduates can join the talent pool and get that targeted support in the way that I've been describing, and there's a bit more from the team on this. And we've also gone on to record a series of about 30 employability essential videos, which are all the things that you'd be familiar with, things like CVs, job search online, networking with employers, interview techniques, etc. And we've absolutely been blown away by these. We've made them available to all students, anybody with a Teesside University account, all students and staff, so our staff can embed these videos in their work. And already we've had over 3,000 views in about 6 months, or less actually. We've kept trucking with the internship programme, and we went to a virtual and/or hybrid model, and we've had a phenomenal response from local employers for our next internship programme. We've been sent pretty much 300 briefs for projects to start in June. So there is real appetite now from employers for student and graduate talent. We've introduced a virtual student and employer mentoring scheme, which is going really well. The first of that is getting some fantastic feedback, a bit more of that later on. And a lot has been about how we're communicating with our students. We've had to be really mindful of the impact of things like social media, our standard messages, and how we connect with academics in the school. So we've done a root and branch review of that, and that's underway, but we've found some really great new pathways to communicate with students in these strange times. You've got a picture there of the building called Launchpad. Now, you might have seen this building on the outside, or maybe actually been in if you've been on campus for a tour. This is a Victorian school that's been completely revamped to accommodate several small startups, brand new startups. And you probably can't see from that photograph, it's been totally refurbished. The windows are absolutely spot on now, and it's looking grand on campus. This is what it looks like now. So you're seeing co-working space where different businesses can come together, share ideas, share business, grow business with one another. The idea is there's collaboration, solution-focused conversations going on in that space. We've also got a community bakery, and you can see an intern, and the baker is on the right, Fran is on the right, and the student has baked his first loaf of bread in the community bakery. And this bakery is designed to reach out to the community, to engage them. So there's been community baking going on with refugees, so they've been sent their baking equipment, and there's been a baking session online. That's having some really great impact in communities, connecting them with the university. The brand that you see in front of you now, that's the accelerator for games, so students will develop ideas for new games, and they're given the support in Launchpad to be able to grow that idea to hopefully to a very lucrative product, and you'll see a bit more of this brand around as that develops. That's a fairly new brand. Okay, I'm going to pass you over to Said now. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. My name is Saeed Mohammed, and I'm a careers advisor in the team. And this is one slide I'll share with you, and while going through the slide, I've tried to divide it into 3 parts. And I want to talk to you about first thing, which is giving you a perspective to what a careers advisor does or what careers advisors do in the team. So you get an understanding of that. Secondly, I want to share with you my journey of working in 2 schools and my perspective. So I'll talk about this in part 2, and then bringing you together to some of the challenges and success this year. So starting with some exclusive functions, giving you idea to within student futures, what careers advisors do. I think one of the key commitments of our team is to enable our students to achieve their full career potential. And if you view that from a student perspective, a lot of students join us in level 4 stage, and they are here for 3 years, so level 4, 5, and 6. And each one of them is on a journey, a career journey of their own. I think it's us establishing and working with a wide audience if they're doing undergrad studies to helping them support in wherever and whatever support they need with respect to advancing their career. Likewise, we've got a huge number of students doing the postgraduate studies with us as well, so level 7 and 8. Again, how we can support them in their achieving their career potential. And then as careers advisor, we also work with graduates in the first 2 years, especially helping them go through that transition from being a student to a graduate as well. Now, if you look from that perspective, it's level 4 to level 8 and then graduates as well. So a lot of things we do depending on the needs of these students. But to give you some idea, sometimes students join different courses and early stage, they're course leavers, people not sure about whether it's the right course which they envisaged before they started their degree. So we deal with course leavers, challenges, issues, aspirations. So that's the kind of one aspect of our support for these students. Now, in terms of the careers journey that I've mentioned from level 4 to level 6 for undergrad and then for postgrads, we work with academic schools. So each of the careers advisors is linked to a school. We help and support with the curriculum planning, module delivery, a lot of modules relevant to employability skills development, career aspirations and management. So we support the delivery and teach on those course module. Within the service, we try to keep abreast to some of the occupational knowledge and changes, and keeping abreast to some of the industry insights. Now, I was thinking of what example I give you, and one of the example is sometime due to the recent pandemic, a lot of recruitment practices have changed, a lot of virtual assessments have come into play as well, online tests have changed. So that's the kind of thing we look at, what's changing, how the regional employee market is changing as well. And we help and support in writing, for example, briefs relevant to sector-specific information available to our students. So creating some specialist resources with respect to it. Some of the insights that Sue mentioned earlier, for example, creating new workshops, those which are relevant to current times, and that's some of the expertise the careers advisor bring to the team. A big chunk of our caseload involves, as you would know, careers guidance appointments, so seeing students one-to-one at different stages of their career. So we are a big university. I think you can imagine, I was looking at some of the student numbers, so we've got around 19,000 students. So the approach we work with is delivering on these workshops, on those modules, so we can reach out to our maximum audience, but then again, entertaining those students into one-to-one appointment where they would need more intensive support. So with that respect, we deliver a lot of workshops, whether they are pre-recorded workshops, live sessions, on-course deliveries, some of the employer workshops we host and bring it to our group, so it's connecting employers with our curriculum and our students. One thing we also do is, as you will hear from all of my colleagues, there are lots of functions within Student Futures team, as Sue mentioned. So we are kind of supporting many of those roles. So when I see careers advisors in the team, I see them as a catalyst or as a bond between lots of these different specialist functions. And especially working with students, it's helping them navigate to support, as to say, whether it's volunteering, placement. So yes, we've got those advisors who work with them, but from a careers aspect, I think it's giving them a holistic picture to where best to achieve these services. So moving on to the next part, which is just sharing. If you want to click through, yes, thank you. So as a careers advisor, I work in two schools, business school and School of Computing, Engineering, Design and Technology, and I work with the engineering department. And I think the beauty of our work linked with each school is that we get to see priorities, with what priorities schools are setting for themselves, and then helping supporting them in achieving those targets. So what you see on the screen is I've just listed the top 3 key priorities we have highlighted, or the school has highlighted, and we are helping school in that aspect. Business school, you can see that they want to improve the graduate outcomes. They want to increase the work experience options for their students, and student engagement is a challenge that we have established that we are focusing on this year. When we look at the other school which I'm working, which is the engineering side, now they are really good in the student engagement. So their student engagement is higher, but then some of the issues that they want us to focus include building confidence in our students. So we take different approaches. So one of the approach, an example I've mentioned here is that we have got an embedded delivery in many of the modules. Especially, I think school is on board for us to work keenly with year 1 and final year students. So we've got intervention with respect to confidence building in many of these aspects, alongside, I think, areas where we establish that students would benefit much. And I think working with this regard, a lot of successes we have achieved, and I think I'll come to those in my final part. If you want to click on, thank you. So here I want to share how this year, some of the things we have achieved with different schools. So these priorities that I've mentioned with business school and engineering within School of Computing has been developed through meeting them regularly. So whole of Student Futures team, we meet with the school on a regular basis. So for example, the business school, we're meeting once every 6 weeks to discuss, look at what priorities they've got, how we are working and approaching those tasks, any challenges. And it's a case of working collaboratively in some of the priorities that the school may establish. I think this year we have streamlined our comms with students. So all the opportunities that we are offering, they are ready available to students in form of newsletter. We have kind of delivered on the hybrid model, which is an achievement. You know, a year ago, something we couldn't imagine, but as Sue have mentioned, we have delivered on so many workshops online in hybrid context as well. There is an Employability Award, which is an option for students to take at any stage of their career. I think what we established in one of the in the business school is that we could integrate the Bronze Award in the first year, and I think this will not only help with the engagement, student engagement, which the school is facing, but also give them a good start in year 1, and that's what I'm working with the module team in year 1, so we could establish that, and hopefully I think it will be up and running for next year. Now I can talk about challenges, and I think the key challenges that I see are the demand versus the resource. And I think, as I mentioned, we are a big university and there's so much work, so much that we're already doing, but there's so much that could be done more. And I think it's always kind of keeping a right balance between identifying with the schools what areas need more focus, but then with a limited resource, there are areas that we can't cover. So I think that's something we face. Another often thing which is a challenge is that from a careers perspective, there are lots of university strategic priorities that we contribute to. At the top one, you will see graduate outcomes. So yes, definitely, I think the service contribute there. But you'll also see that the extent work that we and the team do, it helps in student satisfaction, well-being, resilience, retention. So we kind of support all these functions, but often it's a difficult question to how to measure those when we're looking at the impact measure from the careers advisor perspective. Now it's a field in itself. So often with us delivering, we've got limited time on look at the impact, but that's something which is a challenge. But with technology, we could work on improving that challenge as well. So I think that's a quick kind of summary through lots of functions, and I'll pass on to my colleague Joe Burge now. Thank you.
Afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to tell you about the support offered by the Talent Pool. The Talent Pool is a new initiative which was brought in to support the 2020 graduates into employment in a more structured way. We recognise that COVID might have had a detrimental effect on their confidence and ability to find employment, so we're contacting them to offer more one-to-one support to find out what their interests are, what kind of sectors they want to go into. We're offering workshop support, CVs, application forms, interviews, job searching. A large part of the Talent Pool offer is for our team to support source local vacancies. So we have weekly job lists, a newsletter. We've got a Student Futures LinkedIn page now that graduates can sign up to, and other social media channels to promote the jobs more carefully. And we've also got really good links with academic schools. We also hold events such as we've had employers in, such as Enterprise Rent a Car, the police, doing virtual recruitment events. We've also been tracking the progress of our graduates through LinkedIn and seeing if they are still in employment or they do need one-to-one support. And as I said, we've developed really strong links with the academic schools this year, with regular Talent Pool meetings, strong links with academics and feeding into their social media channels. We've also got some 12-week paid internships for the 2020 graduates and also the 2021 graduates. We recognise that some of our graduates are lacking work experience. We're hoping to remedy this and build some confidence. So we've got some internships running from June to September 2021 that we're promoting at the moment, which are also for 2021 graduates. So obviously we don't know how many applications are coming in, but we've secured a really large and diverse range of roles. As Sue said earlier, we've had about 300 opportunities that have come in, and we've got a lot of funding, and we've got funding coming from elsewhere. So we think we've got a really good offer for this summer. So they've been promoted really widely, lots of social media targeting, the academic schools, we've got the careers advisors that have promoted them in sessions. And we just think it's an excellent way for the graduates to enhance the CV and get the work experience. We have had some challenges. Obviously, when 2020 graduates have left the university, we still want to communicate with them, and we're working out the best ways still to do that. So we've got a student portal that we try and keep them registered on. We still send them newsletters and encourage them to keep in contact with us. But we think that's working really well, and we're hoping to get some good applications for our internships in the summer. We've had a lot of success with the Talent Pool. We've done some really good targeted work, and we can see the benefits of offering internships. We had some internships last October, and we noticed that quite a lot of graduates were getting kept on by those organisations. We've got some good case studies. We've got graduates coming back to help us with sessions. So there's lots of successes there, and we're trying to build on that and try and get our graduates to stay in contact with us. Thank you. This is Jen Golden, but I think Sue is doing this one.
It would help if I put my mic on, wouldn't it? Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, absolutely, I am. Volunteers have had phenomenal success with engaging with students, even through these challenging times. Our students have come forward, and the impact on communities and actually the impact on the development of the student has helped their well-being, as well as that significant reward that volunteering gives you when you give up a bit of your time. So there are a few examples here where we've had very COVID-safe environments for students to experience and to volunteer in. So Stockton Mind, we've had students working as an appropriate adult, so representing an individual at a police station, and just being there as somebody to support those students. Sorry, those individuals. There's also been online mentoring, a chance to help manage the coving test site. So if it's anything like the experience that I had, it's like a military operation. So they've been involved in making sure things like that run smoothly. And there's a media volunteer for one of the NHS trusts. What you can see is that recently the volunteering team and the students that volunteered for Mind actually were given an award for their contribution for the impact on the individuals that those volunteers supported. And even in these challenging times, our students clocked up over 4,000 hours of volunteering experience. So it's thanks to them and thanks to the team of the volunteering team for doing this. That work continues, and normally we have hundreds of students out volunteering. Obviously, our approach is to keep students safe first and foremost, but also to help local communities as much as we possibly can. So we're working very closely with them, and there are things we know that can be done at a distance, listening, for example, and befriending that's at safe distance to make sure that students are safe. We're in the process of introducing a new volunteering platform. The platform currently monitors all the activity in volunteering, so it can be used remotely at the moment, so students can add their hours to it, watch their skill development, so they actually make a note of where they feel that they've developed. It's a reflective piece, which is very good to do when you've done a bit of volunteering. How has that helped me? What has it done for the community? And how might that help me with my career planning? It also will help us target opportunities to students to make sure that they're able to get onto the right voluntary opportunity, because we've got an awful lot of options in that platform to choose from. And there's also a way of building in that experience that the students are recording into a CV, so that it's a portable document that they can take once they've actually graduated. They can still access it. And it's also a way of organisations being able to contact their potential volunteers more easily. So we think this is going to make a big improvement to the way that we're working. And I think this is over to Joe H now.
Hi, my name is Joanne Youth and I'm Employer Engagement Manager in the team. So my role is to work quite extensively with employers to bring them in and to offer more opportunities, to kind of bring them into the curriculum and various other avenues. In terms of how things have been going since COVID-19, obviously we've been working with employers slightly differently as well. Obviously everyone's moved to working virtually. We've still been able to offer, as my colleagues have said, our 3-month and 6-month graduate length internships, but instead of 100% of them being face-to-face, we've had like a variety of people working from home, working virtually, and those people who are now half and half, a little bit in the office, still working from home. So we've basically taken on a whole different business model in the way that we run internships, and the employers have taken to that really quickly and really well, which has been a great success. We've continued to also offer our master's internships with advanced practice, so sending out our master's students, and they'll be going out in September and September this year, January next year, on the same basis, so they may also be working from home. As a result of COVID, and obviously when everything last Easter went very quiet, we've changed some of the focus of working with employers. So we moved away from module placements, we moved away from live projects that weren't 100% necessary as part of the course, just to keep our students safe. We've actually taken on new funding streams as well. So we started to, so we've become a gateway for the Kickstart scheme funded by DWP. And that is designed to help us help other organisations out there to receive funding to offer new roles. Those roles may very well be graduate opportunities and opportunities that we can present to our graduates as well. So there's routes for them once they finish their studies. We changed completely, as I think Saeed and Sue have mentioned, our careers and recruitment offering. So all of our workshops moved solely to Microsoft Teams, whereas obviously a lot of things previously have been face-to-face. We've also quite extensively promoted external relevant careers events, so things that other companies, other people are doing that is going to be relevant to our students. We've also promoted them online with the link of where they need to apply, so that they can all kind of get the benefit of what is out there as well, particularly seeing as that there is now a lot that's being delivered virtually, so maybe a little bit more attainable for them. And we usually have a large careers fair that attracts up to 1,000 students and graduates in a day. Obviously that hasn't been possible with the pandemic. So that's been replaced over the year with smaller Microsoft Teams events, and in November this year we've planned a 4-day virtual careers week where we'll have a range of very structured, very specific and targeted Microsoft Teams events, plus potentially some face-to-face by that point as well. Here's just a couple of examples of the type of events that we've hosted. The table on the left are events which have been Teesside University events. So, for example, we've had career opportunities with the Royal Navy. We've done a lot with the police, such as Durham Constabulary. We've had teacher training events and cluster events. Also, whenever companies have approached us as well, like maybe companies that we've never delivered for before, we've also ran individual and specific events for them. And the table on the right hand side is some of the external careers events which we've kind of seen online, we found and promoted to our student body to give them kind of a broader experience and a broader range of events that they can access. Okay. In terms of successes with working with employers, as Sue mentioned, obviously it went very quiet last March and April, but it very quickly has picked up over the year. Employer engagement is still extremely strong. As Jo mentioned, we're currently advertising 300 internship opportunities, which if you'd asked us 6 months ago, we would probably have never expected that many. But I think it's testament to the fact that employers are just fully operational again, and it's kind of like business as usual, even through the pandemic. They've all adapted very quickly. They're still recruiting, they're engaging with us online. Obviously everyone's had to find different ways of working, and what we found is employers are they're taking it all in their stride, and we're still being able to deliver. Delivering recruitment sessions online has offered us a lot of opportunities. Some of them obviously will be obvious, but it might be worth just talking through them with less travelling time. So it's very efficient use of employers' time. We think potentially employers might have a couple of hours travelling time to get to us. Now they just have to log into their 1-hour session and they still reach the same audience. Using Teams is increasingly accessible. Sessions can be accessed anywhere and everywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be that students have to be on campus. They don't even have to be at home with their laptop. They could be out and about and accessing the session on their phone. Recording of content has been exceptional in that it lets us circulate to students who weren't available at the time, whereas obviously face-to-face sessions that might not happen. So it's letting us hit a lot more people with the information. And in terms of scale, we can host events for up to 200 people at a time. We've advertised all our sessions online, so the online sign up is really easy. We know who's coming, and everyone getting into using Microsoft Teams, including participants and people who are attending our seminars, means that they're starting to use the chat function. It helps us to field questions without interruptions. Lets us share details of the presenters, for example, their Twitter handle and things like that, and also allows them to share documents and links to websites and things like that in the chat. So that's been really helpful. And in terms of just-in-time workshops, it does reduce the lead time. We can put sessions on in, say, 10 days, whereas previously we might have spent longer in the planning stage. So that's been a useful form for us of delivering like this. Can you change the slide, please? Thank you. In terms of challenges, I think everyone has experienced challenges, obviously, during the pandemic. The continually changing government restrictions has meant we've had to keep on our toes, and we've found new ways of working and delivering new processes that we've had to take on. For example, with us sending people out on internship during the high prevalence of COVID-19, we've had to start a new risk assessment process, but we've managed it, and it's running smoothly. Employers' priorities were shifting over the first 6 months of lockdown, but now they really seem to have settled, and they seem to be consistently knowing where they're going in the next year. So that's been good for us in terms of consistency. Obviously, delivering online, there are occasional technical challenges, particularly when we're working with external companies, but we've facilitated all of the sessions ourselves, so that sort of mitigates against that risk. And as in the real world, attendance can vary from online sign up, but our online sessions have been easy to change if necessary and easy to reschedule. And it's been quite useful as well, because obviously some students are very shy to engage, but we found that they might not speak up in a face-to-face session, but they will then still ask their question via the chat function, for example, in Microsoft Teams, and it gets them participating in the session, and it gets them to finding out the information that they need, which has been really useful. I think that's the end of my slides now, so I'm going to hand over to Sam Forbes, who's our Student Futures Project Officer.
Thank you, Jo. I'm just going to briefly share my screen. Bear with me 1 minute. That one there. Okay, so just to kind of give an indication of what I do as a Student Futures Project Officer, and one of the main focuses of what I do within this team is mentoring. So kind of the first thing what we do is understand that, like, mentoring has a really large impact on our students. So as an example, what does Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey and Steve Jobs have in common? They all have mentors. And I think anyone that's had a mentor in their career can kind of understand the impact in which a mentor can have. And it's understanding what they can do for our students. So we have this mentoring scheme. That experience obviously can transform our students' career options and kind of broaden their horizons and open up the options for them as well. So it gives an opportunity to kind of share knowledge, experience and all their expertise that they have within their career as well, but helping them to become more work ready, understanding what they study and how they can apply that within a workplace setting as well. We had an annual target of around about 50, but just because of the successes, we have actually grown this and increased our target to around about 75 per year. It's a 12-week flexible programme. So I think it's understanding the impact of mentoring, what it can have for our students, and hopefully you can kind of tell them about that prior to coming to university as well. Don't just kind of take my word for it as well. We have some great feedback from our mentoring as well. Now I'll let you read those on screen. I won't go through them, but I can it's really quite heartfelt, and some of the experiences and feedback I get really is really kind and heartfelt as well, and it kind of spurs me on to do a little bit more of this kind of thing. So student futures and then our environment as well, just to kind of touch on what everyone else has spoken about in this session as well. Just our environment. Obviously, we were forced into, post-COVID, we were forced into quite a digital setting, and it's how, and a lot of these settings are probably going to stick, if I'm perfectly honest. It's forced us into this, but a lot of them have been really, really good insights as well. So I'll just kind of talk you through a couple of those different things that we are doing. As people have said, we do those online workshops and we monthly monitor these to see how they're going, and we do change and adapt and instigate new workshops as well, depending on what's topical in the environment. So say, for example, as one of the first Adobe campuses in Europe, Teesside University, we're putting on some Adobe workshops and Adobe jams as well. So it's about monitoring that and adapting that to that environment that we're in at the moment. As Joel mentioned, we're doing a lot of employer sessions, whether they are hosted or promoted by us. A lot of our social media, we can be more responsive on LinkedIn, we can be more responsive with their job posts and things that are going on to increase our faster pace with our responsiveness. And obviously, as we've already mentioned, we have those recorded YouTube access to our students and graduates only. And we average around about 500 views per month, but it's about the flexibility and access of those workshops that students can access in the middle of the night, whenever it's appropriate to them. But it's just improved our accessibility to our students and graduates. So we're kind of there always for them, but not always on the end of the line as well for questions. So that's kind of it from me. It's just to kind of reinforce that we're currently adapting and continuing to adapt and monitor our environment and change that as that landscape is changing as well. So that's it from me. I'll hand back over to Sue to wrap up the session.
Thanks, everybody. I'm just going to share my final slides now, and you should be able to hopefully see that one. If you look on our website, and that's coming up, you'll see that for you there are some resources that you can access and use with your students if you want to. So there's sections about CVs, interviews and job search. Videos about the impact and benefit of work experience placements, and similarly for information about enterprise. So feel free, that's open source. You can use it, you can borrow it, you can just use it as it is if you want, or you can tweak it. And if you're going to do it at large scale, please just mention that it was sourced from Teesside University.
So just to jump in, could you just share your screen again for me, please?
Ah, yeah, sorry. Is that not sharing?
No, I just can't see it at the moment.
Oh,
Thank
I beg your pardon, folks. Yeah, that looked like it had shared there. Have you got that now?
There we go, it's coming now, yes.
Ah, fantastic. Okay, so that's what you should have seen when I was talking there. That's just a reminder of some of the resources that you can access anywhere. It's web-based, so you're welcome to use that as you see fit. And just in summary then, I hope that you can see at the top of your screen the functions that the team has, that we've talked you through some of those key points about moving into a very different world, a different way of operating, making sure students and graduates can access us as easily as possible. Our greatest fear is that students think this is the end of my career because there's nothing out there. Nothing could be further from the truth. And what we've tried to do throughout is say, if you've got time on your hands, think about a bit of a CV review, or think about doing some volunteering. So it's been a really productive time for many of our students, and certainly for many of our staff. So there are things that we've done that probably if we hadn't been in this position, we wouldn't have done, like the Employability Essentials series. I hope that this has been helpful for all of you to think about how you might work with your pupils or your students. And if there are any questions that you have as a result of watching this, please don't hesitate to get in touch with Student Futures. Thank you.
Nearly forgot to unmute my microphone then, but I stopped myself at the last moment. Thank you so much, everybody, for that session. I do hope those that have joined us have found it really informative. If, as Sue mentioned, if going forward you do have any questions you'd like to ask, please do just get in touch with us and we'll be able to put you in touch with the relevant parties. But I think mainly I just want to thank you all for that session today. It was really informative. It's really great to know what's available, but the full package, I think people think sometimes, you know, careers or students, it's quite a small thing, but you've covered such a wide range of topics there, so that's really useful. Just a reminder as well for anybody watching that we do have other sessions running all this week and all next week. We have some keynote speakers relating to roles in leadership in education. We've got some sessions on adversity and trauma. There's quite a wide range of sessions available to you over the next 2 weeks. So if you'd like any more information on that, please visit our website or speak to our recruitment team on the online chat. They're available Monday to Friday, 9 AM until 4 PM if you have any questions about anything. But yeah, thank you so much everybody for that session. It was really informative. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.